Alright guys, this is the stock rear end 7.5 inch pumpkin. Comes in the 4-cylinder cars, which is what this was originally. All this has to come out too to make room for the 8.8 that's going to go in it, so we're going to go ahead and tackle it. These videos are just an update on the project, not necessarily a how-to. There's plenty of other informative YouTube videos out there that will guide you in depth, step by step, on how to remove these. So feel free to check those out, but this is again just a progress update. So I'm gonna remove this and give you an after video and see what it looks like. Alright guys, for those of you who have a 4-cylinder Fox body and you want to put an 8.8 in and you want to use Cobra brakes, you're going to run into an issue. The issue is the hard line to the rear is coming down the passenger side of the car, and there's a bracket that mounts to where the upper control arm mounts in the car that utilizes a bracket to join the 7.5-inch flex tube to the hard line of the car. So all in all, what you need to do is change over to V8 lines, but that's not the only issue. If you want to have an easier time using the existing 4-cylinder rear hardline, then here's what you need to do. This is a stock 8.8 rear end junction block that bolts to the pumpkin, to the center section of the 8.8 housing, and this was not going to work fully because I wanted to run a stainless steel flex line from the junction block to the hard line of the car, which is towards the passenger side. So if I want to use stainless steel flex, and I have to have 3AN fittings, well, I can't have 3AN fittings and modify this junction block. So I came up with a system. I have parts coming, but you need to modify this stock bracket, take this junction block off and put a new one on that's going to have two 3/8 24 inverted flare brake line fittings on either side and a 3AN inlet from the hard line or the flex line that's going to be here. So let me show you what I did. I had to grind the underneath of this bracket on the brass, and this allows me to pull this junction block off and put the new one on, just like so. I'm going to clean this up, paint it, make it look nice, and put the new junction block on. Alright guys, what we're looking at here is the 8.8 that I built that's going to go in this car. Back to the junction block assembly. This is the stock style. It's an aftermarket piece, but it's really nice. Junction block for a V8 car if you have the V8 brake line running through the center of the tunnel. Since, as we spoke before, I'm keeping the 4-cylinder rear brake line, it's going to come out, if you can imagine, somewhere over here. So I need to get a flex line to mount from the outlet here to here, but we can't really use this piece because it uses a banjo bolt. So as we were talking before, this is what I made right here. So this is the same bracket as before, stock bracket, but it has a brass junction block with a 3AN fitting. This is going to replace this piece, and it's going to allow me to run the flex line from here to the stock location of the outlet rear brake line from the 4-cylinder style brake line. So let's put it on. Alright, well, here it is. It's mounted, fit the lines perfectly. 3AN outlet. Here's my flex line with a 90 at the very end, where it will mount onto the 3AN fitting coming out of the brake line that I showed you earlier. And this will just thread in here like so. And there we go. This would be the setup if you're going to retain your stock 4-cylinder rear brake hard line coming from the master cylinder. So you'll need a few things from Earl's. I don't know the part number, but if you go on their site, go to all their brake fittings, and you're going to see a T, 3AN, or 3/8 24 inverted flare, 3/8 24 inverted flare, 3AN outlet. It comes with the fitting and everything. You'll need to reuse your stock bracket, grind it out as I showed you earlier, and Earl's also has the 3AN pre-made Hyperflex, or Hyperfirm I think they call it, brake line. You'll need that, and then you'll need that fitting. This is all from Earl's, so I don't know, you'll probably spend about $60, but I wanted to go this route instead of fishing a whole new hard line down the car. So there you have it. All right guys, here we are under the car, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. This is the rear brake line. It's coming from the master cylinder for the 4-cylinder cars. It goes down the passenger side towards the rear. I wanted to keep that instead of replacing a V8 line that goes all the way down the tunnel. So this is what I did. I went to Earl's, and they have a fitting that goes in the stock clip that has a 3AN outlet. So on the other side is your stock 3/8 24 inverted flare fitting, and it uses the stock style clip. The only thing I had to do was round out the inner hole in this bracket right here for this to fit through, but it fit through, clip slid through, and the nut is perfectly fine. But now I have a 3AN outlet that I'm going to run to the rear end. Should be in here, that junction block. So since we're under here, it was a pretty busy day. Got the upper and lower torque boxes installed. These are almost done. I'm going to have somebody come over and help me tighten these, because you need to have somebody inside holding one side of the bolt head. And same thing for the lowers. I went ahead and just mounted the Maximum Motorsports control arms, so they're ready to go. Alright guys, well I finally fully installed the battle boxes from Wild Rides. These are torque box reinforcement plates. Whenever you have a Fox body that makes a ton of power, you guys know the floors tend to be the weakest link. So you reinforce them with these. A little bit of a pain to install, but they're definitely worth it. So here's the rear end ready to go in. Pardon the mess. But everything's prepped, and we're ready to go in with it. So let's do it. Alright guys, well this is day 3, and I completed the rear end install. So that includes the Wild Rides battle boxes. Upper and lower torque boxes are now reinforced. Late model restoration springs, Maximum Motorsports control arms, factory Cobra rear calipers from 94 to 04 calipers, Lakewood 50/50 drag shocks, BBK upper control arms, spherical bushings, and let's get under here and take a better look at the brake system. So what I was talking about earlier, there's the flex line, which goes into my T. And comes out from the hard line right there. So not a bad install. I have an 8L clamp over here and leaves this loose a little bit, just holds it out of the way, but allows for free movement, the rear end up and down, and some of the other side. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, give me a shout. Leave some comments below for part numbers if you need them. And thanks for following.